Game on, ladies and gentlemen! The quarterfinals of the Ryzing Cup. It is Reforged time, and it's time for an Undead versus Human. Down to the bottom left of Last Refuge, we have the Lord himself, Xlord, playing once again today. And he's going to try the pretty much impossible task to end a best of 3 with a 5-0 once again. So up to the top right, we have Hawk, and well, our human player had so far a really incredible run throughout the tournament. Also had to wait a little bit for Xlord to face off against Terror. And it's going to be an interesting game, to say the least. Ryzing Cup number 10 is also a special one, because as we just heard, apparently Happy lost with an 0-2 to Cash in the other quarterfinal. So it seems like we have a new king in the Ryzing Cup number 10. Or we will have one, because so far we only know that Cash is apparently the only one to take down Happy when it comes to the Ryzing Cup. Apparently Hawk was able to take him down in an earlier tournament too. Maybe Happy is sick or is playing with his feet today. Whatever the reason, he lost now twice and hasn't won a tournament today yet. So pretty impressive. Maybe he's human, or maybe it is just a ruse to make us all believe that he is human after all. But either way, in this case, we have now the Archmage going up against the Death Knight again, as this is the first game of a best of 3 series between these two players. Also a little bit of a quick housekeeping item. Reforged has received an upgrade quite recently that fixed a couple of the problems. Of course, Blizzard's to-do list is still a little bit longer in order to fix the problems that happened with the game. But one of the things you're going to experience here a bit are occasional mini-lags that mainly occur when the heroes are entering the stage. Unfortunately, that's not only true for the first few heroes that join the fun, but also for the later ones. So just as a little bit of a warning, as you can already tell, this is pretty much what I'm talking about exactly here. And also, as you can already see from the overlay, we're currently using a bit of a different one. Quite nice when it comes to especially hero items, levels and abilities, cooldowns and all of that. But unfortunately, at this point, it still has a bit of a disadvantage over the old one. Reforged is having a couple of issues, and that means we can only look at the supply and the resources of one player, at least for the time being. As far as I know, there's actually already work being done to change that for the future, but for now I'm going to try and just keep you guys updated whenever need be what the supply numbers are, especially during big fights, and also switch between the two players a little bit. Just a bit of a heads up so you know what's going on here. But in this case, Death Knight already starting to creep a little bit and found actually sentry wards for himself as he takes the first spot down. Archmage all the way up at the top, and of course the idea for Xlord is going to be to try and take a few of these creeps away, try to also maybe put some pressure onto the human player. The tag into the Halls of the Dead is already ongoing, and with this, the Death Knight is just running around the map and trying to see what exactly he can actually pull off there. So far, he just needs to try and chase down the human player a little bit, maybe take a water elemental or 2 down, get a bit of experience here, play around that a little bit. He's currently also getting a second rod of Necromancy, so he's going to be out on the map for quite some time now. At the same time, Hawk has decided that he actually is going to head into a quick tech into tier 2, which also means that we're not looking at an early expansion from the human player. So he's going to play one base rifleman against his undead opponent. And since he was able to take down Happy just recently in a best of 3 series, Xlord is not quite on the same level. So the matchup apparently really good for Hawk. Let's see if he can also now take down the German Undead player. Yeah? For now, we have Claws of Attack +6 in inventory. The Lich is going to get that later on. Yeah, the dirty Lich. Every day is his birthday. Every single time the Lich comes out, he just gets items, items, and items. Doesn't even have to do anything for all of that. Now with Hawk on level 2.5, he obviously is in a position where he is soon going to grab level 3 and therefore level 2 water elementals. But with the Wand of Illusion, he's already sending out some scouting patterns here, and is going to quickly figure out what Xlord is doing, and that sets him up for a creep check. Xlord is about to take the Augur Maga on level 5 down. That's at least a nice start for him, and grants him also Ring of Protection +3, but he still has to hightail it out of there, since the human player is trying to finish the job for him. But of course, the Undead from Germany is still a bit aggressive as he's trying to go in and take a couple of those footmen down, and a few of those have already been ensnared to the ground, so they can't do anything. Xlord with the Crypt Fiends is having some very nice ranged units that he can now employ to take maybe even another water elemental apart and get some additional experience for himself as well. Both of the heroes are roughly on the same level right now. But off we go. First Riflemans are joining the fun, and the Death Knight still wants to grab the Footman there and should be able to take him down pretty quickly. So Footman is down. In the main base, the tech into tier 2 has been completed. We see the Lich being recruited, and up to the top right, the Mountain King comes in as the second hero, of course, as the Arcane Sanctum is power built by 2 peasants. Also, towards the top left, Xlord currently just sitting tight here. Pig is in. It's not quite a frog, but yeah, Crypt Fiends are coming through, and thanks to him already running the Skeleton Warriors and getting another Rod charge through in just a second, he's going to start going straight for the Augur Magi, and maybe even a little bit more. Sneaking it away from Hawk. Xlord by now on a 30 supply. Mountain King comes in, and with that we now have also 2 rings of protection, +3 for Xlord, and a bit more experience that will soon grant him level 3. Lich is in, and as we're talking about Hawk, we have him with level 2 water elementals right now. Mountain King is joining in, and they're pretty much just busy themselves on the map trying to get the heroes a little bit higher. But still scouting going on, and of course by now not only the Ziggurat but also the slaughterhouse is being built. It's all about the tech right now, and Xlord with the Halls of the Dead tech is trying to get that through. Lich is in and is immediately trying to get the first Nova connected, and does so, but the Stormbolt is also hitting home, and it's hitting hard. Where's the Death Knight when you need it? Oh, your little friend and helper. Death Knight just in time to help out the Lich, but it seems like that Rifleman down here is not going to make it. The coil takes him down, but that means that the coil is on a cooldown for another couple of seconds, and that's a bit of a problem. So, yep, needs to be careful with this. Another coil already comes in, and with that we have now Xlord still trying to get more experience. Ah, nice self-kill on the Water Elemental. Nicely done here. Yeah, so good job by him. Over to the right side, there's a bit of chasing going on. Hawk is by now on 35 supply, and Xlord is on 30, but he's obviously also taking a bit more aggressively into tier 3 now. Well, both of them actually are, with a keep tech now also more than halfway done. Very, very quick tech from both players, but more water elementals about to be taken down, and Xlord with that on level 3 and nearly a half. The Lich is nearly on level 2. A little bit higher even than the Mountain King, and he's trying to go for even more experience through the creeps now. And he's just trying to go for the shop here. We already have the human player coming in from the top, but who's gonna snatch this one up? It's actually gonna be Xlord. So Xlord now with a potion of greater healing takes the Augur Magi down, and the fight is still raging on over the creeps at the camp. As Hawk comes in and also employs a couple of militia to give himself the advantage in that little skirmish between the 2 players. Now with the Rod of Necromancy on the Lich, we are still seeing them. Oh, Dark Ranger is coming in now too. I have to admit, by the way, I love the new silence icon. I think it's absolutely amazing. So the Dark Ranger is in, and when we're looking at the icons over there, it's just incredible. I always have a laugh when I see that. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. It's like, shush. Especially when that Mountain King comes in, you're like, for Cosmo, shush. It's actually the nice version of it, because every single time when I see that Mountain King starting to yell, I just want to come in and be like, shut up, bitch. But, well, the Dark Ranger, she's a little bit more civilized, so she's not really all that explicit, and just simply silence him easily there. Yeah, talking about silence, there's a quick trap against the Augur Lord, so he gets surrounded, gets dropped, and in terms of items, we get another aura item, and wah wah! We have once again the Unholy Aura. Death Knight is going to be looking at this like, well, that's going to be sold, so that's nothing but gold for me. And with the 3rd hero now also coming in on the human side, you guessed it already, we have the Paladin in play. So the trio Infernale for human players has now joined the fun, and Xlord is trying to sneak in a couple more big boy items and also creeps, moving over towards the left and trying to snag the second Augur Lord. Yeah, he's a little bit more out there with that particular style, but I gotta say, it's actually kind of nice to see him being this aggressive around it. And Hawk is losing out on that. Ooh, the body blocking is there, and the Augur Lord pathing never really was his strength. So yeah, he's not gonna get out of this one. So nicely done by Xlord, and in this case, he actually finds the Brilliance Aura. Okay, now we're talking. So all of a sudden, we're talking about a fantastic aura for Xlord. He also looks at pretty solid heroes here. I mean, the Mountain King is already level 3. Lich isn't quite there yet, but Xlord stealing the items away. We have now also the Orb of Fire. And Hawk is already sniffing that out, and instead of just saying, alright, let's just continue the pattern and try and get especially that Paladin a little bit higher. But on the item side, Xlord is walking away with a pretty big advantage right now. +1 attack upgrades for Xlord. As we see the two players still making their moves here. We also have, in this case, now the Death Knight nearly on level 3. Has also the Wand of the Wind now, which is going to be quite helpful against the Mountain King whenever he tries to come in for another quick Stormbolt. Or even the Paladin, of course, depending on the situation. Gargantuan Sea Turtles are now about to be taken down, so Hawk is trying to not only level his heroes, but also secure a couple of nice items for himself here. So far he hasn't really gotten too much. Has still the Bell of Giant Strength for the Paladin, so that's going to boost the hit point pool of his third hero by quite a bit, and going to make him a lot more resilient to the attacks of his opponent. And also a Ring of Regeneration now. So for the Paladin, it's all about survivability. You got the Ring of Regeneration, you got the Ring of Protection, there's the Belt of Giant Strength. And in the meantime, the Dark Ranger gets the Boots of Elven Skin, so boosting her primary attribute a little bit more. Therefore the damage and also agility. And hence the armor. 1.8. Both of the players just still taking it easy heading into this game. Xlord is currently at 49 supply. Hawk, on the other hand, hasn't crossed over into the low upkeep yet either, so he's still shy of 50 supply at this point. Orb of Corruption for the Lich, of course, and he gets even more of a damage boost since he got the Mantle of Intelligence. And on top of that, we have him with the Gloves of Haste, so he's actually starting to really shred the damage out there. As we're having another Gargantuan Sea Turtle being attacked. A lot of skeletons, by the way, being sent towards the Bane base of Hawk. So that's a lot of... It's a big scouting party that's coming in here. It's not going to really do a whole lot of damage or anything, but at least it's going to figure out very quickly what exactly is going on up there. Okay, so with that, we now have a Ring of Protection +4. There's a lot of rings. There's a lot of armor involved in this, actually, right now. So a lot of items for survivability for Xlord as well. But in comes Hawk from the side, and that might be our first big skirmish between the two players here. It should honestly be an insane series between the two of them. I'm really, really looking forward to all of this now. This could be a lot of fun for sure. On the upgrade side, 1-1 upgrades now for Hawk. Fiends with 2 attack upgrades, no armor upgrades for them. Of course, with those obsidian statues in play. It's also going to be interesting. There's the Silence already being used against the Paladin. And they're starting to make the play for the Rifleman. Yep, there's a quick Holy Light to keep one of them in play. But thanks to the Nova, gets immediately dropped. And of course, the slow effect alone is just worth gold for Xlord. Takes one Rifleman down after another. And that Mountain King doesn't do jack shit. It's just like wandering around here with the Wand of the Wind. And we have one Rifleman after another being eliminated here. And Hawk is falling quickly. Xlord is still looking at 52 supply. And Hawk is down to 38. Hawk is getting crushed here right now in this fight. He's down to 35 supply. And Xlord barely lost anything. He still has 1,200 gold available to himself. That was an insane fight for Xlord. It was incredible. And now he can just try to get his heroes even higher. He has every single hero in a really good position. Hawk isn't far off when it comes to experience, at least. But for Xlord, this is just fantastic. Portal had to be used. His scouts at the top left are already showing him that there's no expansion attempt from Hawk yet. So this is a really, really solid situation now for Xlord. He's a little bit trapped up here, but if you learned one thing from Star Wars, then it's that the high ground always wins. So right now, if Obi-Wan taught me anything, it's that. So Xlord is trying to use that high ground to his advantage. The problem is those statues are a little bit far off. But are now coming in. Again, the Holy Light saving the ass of the Archer, but only for a short while. The Sorceress is also in a little bit of trouble. And guess what? Xlord is just starting to hunt them down, one after another. 60 supply for him, 43 supply for Hawk. Riflemen are going down again. The Mountain King is trying to do what he can to take at least a couple of those Fiends apart. The Frost Armor is obviously helping Xlord to keep them in play. Here's the focus onto the Lich for just a second. We should see the Death Goal, and we indeed do. The focus onto the Death Knight instead, but we have the Potion of Greater Healing still in the inventory. Level 4 by now for the Lich, and Xlord is just racking through all of this. Hawk is losing unit after unit. Xlord is moving through his army like hot butter through cheese, as we see another quick burrow on one of the Crypt Fiends to just save them at the end of that fight, because right now it looks like Hawk is going to have to tap out soon. If he can't get a hit in against one of these heroes and drop them quickly, then he's going to be in trouble. But once again, the Archmage in trouble, and the coil hits home, and that is GG, as Xlord takes the lead in the best of 3 series against Hawk. Alright, game on everybody! It is time to rock and roll as we are looking at game number 2 between Hawk and Xlord in this best of 3 series, and Xlord is ahead! Over to the top right of Concealed Hill, we currently have Hawk in play, this time in red. Our human player had a little bit of a problem here against Xlord in the first game. Xlord with a very, very clean game, actually. He snuck himself a couple of really good items, taking both of the Augur Lords on level 7, had the item advantage over his opponent, and was just in the team fight incredibly clean, able to take down a lot of his opponent's units, focusing the town portal, and then also looking at a very solid position for the second fight. And Hawk just couldn't really do anything with that. So it was a little bit of a problem. D&D doesn't really work anymore. Apparently Blizzard not really... Again, the to-do list of Blizzard is long. I don't think that we have to spend too much time debating that. But, well, I'm sure that at some point WarCraft 3 Refunded is going to be in a position where all the promises are kept. It's just a matter of time, ladies and gentlemen, as usual. So now we have the Archmage as the first hero for Hawk in production, again, down to the bottom left of the map. I mean, obviously it's going to be a Death Knight opening. Shocking, I know. But let's see what Xlord is actually going to pull off this time. Honestly, I'm not really so much interested in how Xlord is going to play this. I feel that for an Undead player, there's not really too much that you can deviate away from. Most of the time, the most exciting thing that we're going to see is if the Lich is being produced before the tech into the F3 or after. That's what it feels like, at least. I mean, exaggerating obviously a little bit, but still. But I'm also interested to see how Hawk is going to adapt in order to take Xlord down now. He has to win 2 in a row if he wants to make it into the semis here. And, well, with Happy already out of the tournament, that would be a fantastic setup to maybe lock in a tournament victory for you. There's obviously still a couple of really talented players also still in this tournament. I mean, we're talking Foggy, we're talking Cash, just to name 2 of them. But it should be an interesting match now, because I want to see what Hawk is doing in order to take Xlord down now. If he's going to change his MO a little bit. Right now we just have some initial creeping on his side. Xlord is pretty much attempting to sniff out where the human player is creeping in order to harass him, trying to slow down the process a bit, and also sneak a few of those creeps away with a well-placed Death Coil. So more of an aggressive stance from Xlord instead of focusing on some creep spots by himself, which he currently doesn't do here.
A player's forces
but off we go.
Attack.
So with this, we already have the Acolyte. Frog, by the way. The Acolyte double checking what's happening here. And in we go. There is really no Death Coil for the Acolyte. Well, the Acolyte actually survives. A little bit of love, my friend, okay? Wow, that just feels bad. You could have saved him. Traitor! Traitor! Lord Deathstorm. Isn't there an A missing? Okay, I feel incredibly stupid right now, but is that intentional or is that just another refunded bug? Shouldn't there be an A? I know that I have absolutely zero idea about what possibly could be a World of Warcraft lore or Warcraft lore, but in my book there's an A that's missing there. Okay. So I'm going to chalk that up in my innocence as a bit of a typo again. But either way, experience on the peasant. Die, peasants, die. These peasants shall be purged. So, yeah, purged. Indeed, they will be. 19 supply for Xlord right now, 33 for Hawk, and I mean you can already tell that with Hawk moving up straight towards the natural and creeping that with Militia, what's very likely to happen here. Nicely done! He's actually able to sneak away the big one, okay, so snacks the experience up, and here's the expansion. As already assumed, Hawk is trying to play this a bit different this time. The one-base rifleman play hasn't really worked out against the Xlord on the last map, so this time on Concealed Hill, he's just trying to make a bit of a different play with an expansion early on, which of course means that from Xlord's perspective, he is going to try and hit a timing here, aka tech quickly into tier 3, get those destroyers into action, and then harass the opponent's base as much as he can. Maybe a few well-placed attacks before that even, with a couple of Crypt Fiends, but we'll see. So for now, down at the bottom of the map, there's of course a tech into the Halls of the Dead. I guess the Lich is going to come out in just a second after that. But let's see how Xlord plays it. Is he going to be aggressive in the early stages, or is he just going to try and move through with more creeping, more of a focus of getting the Death Knight to 3, getting the Lich onto a higher level, or what we're going to see from them? But there we have it. Xlord already scouting that out. And topside, Yeah, seems like Hawk is actually going to try and get some experience for himself now as well. You want that level 3 on the Archmage so that you have the summons on level 2. That's really going to help. Nice items actually. Parallel Vitality, Gauntlets of August Strength, and Claws Attack +6, so that's boosting his hit point pool quite a bit, which is always nice when you're up against an Undead player who has nothing better to do than harass you with Novas and Coils and whatnot. All the direct damage. Having a bit of a better hit point pool here is definitely working. In this case, needs to be still cautious because of course the Crypt Fiends are now moving in, and together with that we also have a few additional skeletons coming in. Oh, no way! You gotta be kidding me! The surround and the force on the town portal. Xlord, calm the fuck down, please. I mean, seriously. He's able to get the surround, forces the town portal, and Hawk is just sitting there. Also loses another footman and just says like, oh my god, really, dude? Is this how it all starts? Not my day. Yeah, Lich is now in. On the other hand, the tech into tier 2 is not even halfway done for Hawk, obviously, since he's delayed, since he put the expansion in play before that. But off we go. We're having the Lich in action. Lich already a little bit earlier this time, so the tech into tier 3 was started later, which means that Lich has, newsflash, no Orb of Corruption just yet. But as you might already know, that is going to change pretty soon. Water Elemental is in. He's trying to also body block that a bit. So far it's not really working 100%, but he should still give them the experience if he's willing to sacrifice a coil for it, which at this point he isn't. Oh, well, did he? Yeah, apparently. Or he dropped the Nova. So there's a level 3 on the Death Knight. Yeah, and off we go. Those Novas, by the way, are going to be fairly nice now against those Footmen. Defend is already in, and with that, he's going to at least pose a threat to the Fiends, so make it a little bit harder. There's the Coil Nova action. That's where especially that extra hit point pool comes into play for him. Hawk is going to be very happy about that. He's not going to be very happy about these continuous coils that are coming in. He doesn't have a town portal anymore. Has to also try and block the Death Knight, and he does! The Lich wants the hit! Oh, 9 hit points! Oh, but that Archmage is in deep shit now, as we say in professional circles. So Archmage with 22 HP, just like trying to hide here. Human player is always great at hide and seek, but this is getting quite nasty. So Xlord is already falling back a little bit, but with a shop in play, at least Hawk has a chance to get his hit points back slowly but steadily. But of course he can't really make too much of an aggressive stand on the map now, which means that he has to give over all of those camps that Xlord is currently creeping to his Undead opponent, and Xlord is just working on that. Starts to take those items, has a Circle of Nobility now in the inventory, has the Lich also nearly on, well, will have him soon on level 2. We're having, in addition to that, the replenishment potion, a little bit of scouting still going on for Xlord, and as you can tell, his plan is obviously still working out nicely. Has the slaughterhouse now in play, is building the first obsidian statues. Once that the Halls of the Dead is completed, we're gonna... sorry, the Black Citadel tech is completed, we're gonna see the Orb of Corruption claimed and the Destroyer form upgraded. Hawk has 50 supply though, and Xlord is currently at 39. There's another Nova immediately on the Archmage, who's still in a bit of trouble. The base over there towards the right is by now done with the keep tech, so we're already looking at a Mountain King that is going to enter the arena in just a bit. Missing a little bit more. And Hawk is still defending. I mean, for Hawk, it's just important to defend this as long as he can, but Xlord's second punch is going to be the one with Destroyers. And that's when it's really starting to get nasty. You can already tell that in the inventory of the Archmage, we by now also have additional healing potions. I mean, he's sitting there with 2 potions of healing, so he really needs to make sure that his Archmage doesn't die. Losing that town portal this early was definitely a problem for him. Now the Mountain King is in though, and that gives him a bit more safety. He can start to also throw those Storm Bolts and maybe put some additional pressure onto his opponent here. Yeah, Footmen are slowly falling. Hawk on 48 supply, Xlord on 42, but down in the main base now. The tech into Destroyers. Destroyer form is being upgraded. Xlord is slowly falling back. He wants that Orb of Corruption now. Still has the Lich on level 1, I might add. Not really a lot of experience for him. And right now, despite the best efforts of Xlord, Hawk is still in an okay position. We have the Dark Ranger now in place, so the third hero is in. And as long as Hawk is able to just like turtle up a little bit more and maybe also be aggressive by himself now, it'll be a great spot. Lich has level 2, that was important, and he gets the Potion of Greater Mana. Orb of Corruption is in as well. Xlord on 50 supply, Hawk on 46. He has a lot of resources though, 1,500 gold, but he's lacking lumber a bit. He's sitting on 350 is not too bad. Still needs to be cautious around it, but with the destroyers now in the air, you need to be careful with those footmen. Having magic damage against the footman armor is just a bit of a problem. Having the heavy armor type, you get a lot of extra damage from that, so those units are not going to last, and it's free experience pretty much for the Undead player at that point. And of course, Xlord is using that for his attack now. Hawk is now on 68 lumber, so he's definitely falling short a bit. We're having the Death Knight also grabbing a few additional items right now. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability for him. And here comes the attack. 5 towers in total, but only 3 of them are upgraded. 2 are still in scout tower range. And with all of the peasants attempting to defend here, it means that they are just there for the taking. And they're getting focused down one after another. That also shuts down a lot of the income that Hawk wants to have. Stormbolt on the Lich is not going to do anything for him in the long run, since that Death Knight still has way too much mana to be intimidated by any of this. So that's a problem. And all those towers are now starting to fall. Arcane Tower is already gone, and Hawk needs to be careful. Destroyers are just going straight in for the Dispel against the Water Elementals. That's free energy on top of it. There's one single destroyer right now, but he has the potential to go for quite a few more. We don't have any additional upgrades on the Crypt Fiends except for the +1 attack upgrade that he got a bit earlier. But Hawk doesn't really have anything. Hawk is currently trying to get himself with the double virtual fly machines out. He has the Altar of Kings and is trying to get some additional reinforcements with the Paladin as a third hero in the game. But he's really struggling, and if he starts losing those 2 towers, the Guard Tower and the Arcane Tower at the expansion, then he's going to be in trouble. And he is in a really awkward spot. He might be in the same supply as Xlord. Xlord is even crossing over into the low upkeep now with 52. The problem is really the army supply. That's where Hawk is struggling. He has a couple of Spade Breakers, and if he can buy himself a bit more time, that would be fantastic, but Xlord isn't going to give him that time. There's the attack against the Mountain King. 1 potion of healing gets passed over, but the MK could actually fall here and barely makes it out. Nice use of the Staff of Sanctuary here. But we also have at the same time even more aggression now from Xlord as he's trying to take those units down. Lich back to business, and as we are looking at this, having more units falling from Hawk. He got a couple of militias into the mix, but the Paladin is not here yet, just spawned out of the altar, and Hawk is down to 46 supply. More water elements are falling. That's free experience for Xlord, who's still sitting at 52 supply, slightly ahead of his opponent. Level 2 Dark Ranger right now. The Lich on 3, the Death Knight on 4. Hero levels just way better for Xlord. He's at 60 supply nearly. And Hawk is at 49, and he has a lot more economy supply than his opponent, of course, as well. That's another huge problem that he's facing right now. Xlord's just dancing around him. Level 2 upgrade now for the attack on the Fiends, with a few Knights at least in the mix. But Xlord is falling back. Now that Knights and Spellbreakers and the third hero are joining the fun, he is a little bit more weary about the position here, and is falling back for now, even upgrading more attack upgrade for those Fiends, getting a few more statues into play, and is trying to play around the Fountain of Health over here. Yes, Web is in 2, and that's a quick kill against the first one of those flying machines. But the fight is there, and the Stormbolt is connected with the Death Knight. Hawk is trying his best to make sure that Xlord has to TP out of this one, or is going to lose the battle itself. And the creeps are helping him too. One of those statues is about to fall. Xlord tries to get out. Death Knight on the move, and he actually escapes. No additional mana on the Mountain King. He's still on level 1, by the way. The hero levels are one of the big problems for him. And there's the Robe of the Magi +6 as Xlord is able to get the Red Drake down. 58 supply against 50. Hawk still looking at the low upkeep here and is trying to stabilize now. He was attempting to fend off the attacks of Xlord as well as he could. Now we have +3 attack upgrades on the Crypt Fiends, and a lot of those flying machines have already been eliminated too. And the hero levels, they are a concern right now. 3 on the Dark Ranger, 3 on the Lich, 4.5 on the Death Knight. And if you look over to Hawk, he has, he has the Paladin and the Mountain King both only on level 1. That's a huge problem here. Big problem for them right now. Let's actually see what he can pull off with this. The move straight up towards the top, and well, off we go. Hawk on 56 supply, he crossed over into low upkeep. Xlord is at 60, is slightly ahead. Has massive army supply, and his hero levels are just absolutely insane. Mana is not looking too bad on the Lich and the Death Knight either. So he can really just zone out Hawk. And as you can already tell, he is trying to interrupt the mining from the natural and therefore shut down the second source of income on the side of the human player. Web already being used, a hit and run kiting tactic as usual. One Crypt Fiend gets stun locked and gets taken apart by Hawk. That one was important, but the Paladin gets nuked and is down. 63 supply for Xlord, 47 for Hawk. Xlord is ahead in the series already. One more win in this best of 3 would guarantee him a semi-final place. And he is trying to drop them. He's going for them, K. And there's the kill right there. The Mountain King is down, easily taken apart. And all of a sudden, Hawk is just only relying on his Archmage. He's down to 46 supply still, but he's starting to lose also a couple of the additional units, especially that front line with now the Knights is in danger. The Spellbreakers are pretty much the backbone of that army that he has, but now that the Archmage is dead too, this is GG. Game called as Hawk yields the field of battle, and Xlord takes a 2-0 victory over his opponent. GG, and well played.